Wael al-Dadu, chief of Al Jazeera office in Gaza, called on Friday wounds for shrapnel after being injured on an Israeli drone strike. Called doctors to go to his colleague. Her arm was bandaged, left hand infected with blood. Samer was screaming. Samer was screaming, he said. Cameraman Samer Abu Dhaka was with Dado on Friday, when couple captured the wing of Farhana school in Khan Yunis, which was home to Palestinians. But after he arrived, according to Al Jazeera, they were shot by a drone strike. Dudashad managed leave the area while the wing continued. But Abu could not be Dhaka and tried to crawl desperately security. The ambulance tried to reach region, but route was blocked by rubble and medical officials could not reach there because of wing. He said that 3 civil defense workers were killed while trying to reach him in a 5-hour period. Al Jazeera English, on Friday, said in an internal note, Samer, the civil defense team, continued to bleed for a few hours until he found him dead. According to Unlimited, the war was overwhelmed by Gaza's journalists. And according to Unlimited, 56 people have since the beginning of Israel's attack on Hamas. Al Jazeera said that Israel has held Jazeera journalists, their families, systematically responsible for systematically targeting and killing, called on the international community to hold Israel responsible. Abu Dhaka is the first Al Jazeera journalist who in the war. In the month, Dado, wife Amna, his 15-year-old son Mahmoud and 7-year-old daughter Sham, including the house where they lived in an Israeli strike, he learned to while alive. Saruka Saad, spokesman for the West Bank-based Palestinian Journalists Union, said, "This is for journalists and journalists working on the ground. They continue to do." The Al Jazeera team said that when they traveled to cover the wing at the school, they accused Israel of their cars and security equipment and Israel of war crimes. The Foreign Press Association in Jerusalem said that Abu Dhaka was first member of the war during war and described it as a senior cameraman. "We see this as a big blow to freedom of the already limited press in Gaza. And we call Army for a quick investigation and explanation. It took hours to get it." Loay Ayub, a photographer working with Washington Post, said that during war he would approach Abu Dhaka, and that they had time together at Nasser Hospital where wounded and dead were infinitely fairy. Nevertheless, Abu Dhaka has always managed to smile. Ayub said that he had managed to get his family from Gaza. In an interview this week, Dado, famous for brutal scope of war against personal tragedy, told most difficult moment as a reporter. The Palestinian Public Diplomacy Institute referred to destructive deaths of family members, while the Palestinian Public Diplomacy Institute, which is connected to Blue Press Vilejacket, said, "When a journalist becomes news," he said, 24 hours after releasing a clip of the